First of all, I can't tell you how happy I am and grateful I am to be here and have this opportunity to be the head coach at the program that I grew up watching, grew up playing in, and been coaching for the last 21 years. So it truly is an honor. Looking forward to the task at hand and really continuing the success that we've had here for the last 50 years. So with that said, I want to open up to questions from anybody in the room.
Jay, you mentioned the task at hand. A lot of it is rebuilding a roster. You had a bunch of guys drafted, a couple of guys graduated. Is it mostly recruiting, long-term with some portal guys in between, or how do you sort of view building the roster for year one?
Well, it's something in college sports. You're always rebuilding a roster. You're doing a good job. You're developing players. They're coming in. They're getting better. They're getting drafted after the junior year in our sport, and it's a constant turnaround. It's a not I want to call it a reward, but it's part of your success. If players are getting better. They're getting drafted. You have a constant turnaround. This year we just happen to have a lot of hitters and a couple key pitchers that went in the draft. So it's no different than any other year. Use the portal to fill in certain holes, but still the heart and soul of our recruiting is the high school and junior college level and bringing in new talent.
Coach, as a pitching guy, what do you think your perspective brings as a head coach now for this team?
I think it's a well-rounded perspective. Where pitching and defense is going to win most of your games. Hitting is important, but there's some days that you're facing a good pitcher, you're not going to score many runs. So you got to be able to hold the other team down. And I just understand that the lineup has to be well-rounded. Your pitching is only as good as your defense behind you. So that's a mindset I'm going to take in. And even when we're building a roster, it's not too many one-dimensional players, guys that can field a position, can steal a base, or can help you win in other ways than just swinging the bat.
Looking at how you filled out your coaching staff so far, last 15 years, also a Miami alumnus, obviously you're a Miami alumnus. What is the value of, having people who are familiar with the program versus kind of bringing in people who are have a new set of eyes, I guess?
Well, Miami's a different place. It's not for everybody, number one. And if you haven't grown up here, played here, I don't think you understand what it means to be a Hurricane. Some people from the outside are scared by it. So having someone that played here, had success here, playing the College World Series, I think all 3 of his years as well, it's important. It's important. Like I said, the expectations here are greater than just about anywhere else in the country, but it's something that we understand, something we look forward to, and something that we help create as players, me and Laz, and even Jonathan Anderson was our bat boy back in those days. And Darren Fester kind of rounds out the field staff, and he's a guy that comes in from the Northeast. He just adds an extra dimension to recruiting, getting outside of South Florida a little bit.
And you mentioned Darren with Laz and Jonathan. What stood out about them when you were interviewing them and sort of bringing them in?
Well, Laz is a guy that I played with, actually my roommate. Is a guy I respect ultimately with whatever task I assigned to him. But it's a very important hire for me. I'm giving him the pitching, something I've done for 21 years. And knowing it's not something easy to do, but I feel very comfortable handing it over to him. It's something that even over the years we've spent a lot of time talking about. And I know his philosophy is very similar to mine. So our guys, our pitchers, returning guys, aren't going to have to make too big of an adjustment. And Darren Fenster I've known since back in his days at Rutgers. He was very good. You can say that Rutgers' best years were while Darren Fenster was a player and a coach and a recruiting coordinator. And he's moved on to pro ball with the Red Sox. And to the point where Alex Cora wanted him in the big league staff, for whatever reason, the organization felt it was more important to them in the minor leagues. But he's been a director of infield, outfield, base running, hitting coach, manager. He kind of checks off a lot of boxes. He's got a lot of responsibilities. One of the things that, myself being the head coach, being the left-handed pitcher, and Laz being the pitching coach, it kind of opens up a lot of responsibilities to one other guy that's going to make up the slack for 2 left-handed pitchers on the staff. So, and Darren absolutely checked out those boxes.
Jay, you've been a player here, an assistant for a while. What would you say the biggest challenges to getting past regionals, getting to super regionals, getting back finally to the College World Series? From your perspective now as head coach, what's going to be the toughest aspect to that?
I was thinking at Miami, sometimes you get caught up in the past success and it worked in, so we continue to work. And I'm not saying that's not true, but there's always adjustments we've got to make. We always got to get better. In my eyes, I think something we've lacked over the past few years is the analytics and kind of moving forward the science part of the game. Kind of caught between the old school and the new school. I like to think of a little bit of both. And the analytics is great, it's great information to have, but I think the human element still has to play a role in your decision making. That's something we're going to incorporate a lot more of as the analytics. And the administration has given me the ability to hire an analytics staff. That's very important because we've had all the instruments to generate all the data, But to break it down is a whole nother ballgame, and now we will have a staff to do that.
Coach, you've been described as a players coach by some of your former players. Just what goes into your approach of building good and constructive relationships with your players?
It's the person first, the human being first, and I had the privilege to play for a legendary high school coach at Westminster Christian. And when I got the job in 2003, he called and gave me one advice. He said, you got to make sure your players know that their best interest is your first interest. Once you do that, they're going to trust you, they're going to listen to you, and they're very coachable. And to me, that was very natural. To me, it was common sense, right? It's an approach I've always taken. It's just kind of giving personal attention, time. It's not just the athlete on the field. They're more than just a pitcher or a hitter. We're all going to have bad days on the field. We're also going to have bad days off the field. You got to be there for them. I had so many father figures growing up to help me out and get to where I am today. I just want to be a part of that, and be a part of their lives, and hopefully make them better husbands, better fathers. Big leaguers are great. That's a plus. But ultimately, I'd say 90% of our guys are not going to be big leaguers. They're going to be big citizens and good people.
Also, I'll pass it up. Jim Morris, he was the first coach that kind of brought you along. Just what are some of the lessons that you learned from him during his time?
To me, it was just an unbelievable game manager. As far as running a game, running a bullpen, making in-game decisions, it's just I learned so much from him. As far as a coach and the way he treated his staff and assistants, he let you do your job. It's a big thing. And he told me to make sure you hire the right assistant. That's it. That's your lifeline. And if you don't trust them, then you hire the wrong guy. So I feel good about the guys that we've hired, and they have a job to do, and we trust them to do it. That's the way Morris was his approach, and it worked. So we'll continue that approach.
We'll do a few more for JD.
How exciting is it going to be, the first game of next season and just getting ready for practice?
You know what? Every season is exciting, right? Every opening day is always only one opening day. It's always exciting. You always get those butterflies. No matter how long you've been doing it. In this role, to me, it's kind of, I can't say it's just another game. My rules are different, but it is. It's been my 26th season as a Hurricane. It's exciting. The goal never changes. It's always to win every game we play. Get to Omaha. Probably more excited about our first team meeting and getting the year started. Really just setting the tone and what our approach is going to be, what our mindset is going to be, what our makeup is going to be. I'm more excited about that probably. And maybe just so far down the line, the first game in February. I'm more focused on the building blocks and setting a foundation right away day one.
What is that tone that you're planning to set for this upcoming season?
This season and every season beyond, it's a tone of mental toughness. It's a tone of elements are going to change, situations are going to change. For good some days and not as good the others. And you're going to deal with injuries. But at the end of the day, you got to find a way to be your best version of you every time you step on that field. And it's not a better version because we're playing a bigger team or a mean. It's always your best version. It's all I'm asking for the other guys. Their best version every time out. That's where the mental toughness comes into play. Physically, you never feel the same. Mentality is always a choice. You wake up every morning, you make a choice of where your mindset's going to be. You're going to be negative or positive. And think about excuses of why we can't win or why we're not going to win. Or our teams, we're going to find excuses too.
Do you guys plan on being like an aggressive baseball team or conservative? Or are you guys going to be aggressive on the base pass, aggressive with pitching? Like, what do you envision?
I think every year it changes, right? It depends on the roster, and like you said, we're almost done with the roster. I still can't tell you what the starting lineup is going to look like. We have a lot of new faces, but I think your mentality as a coach and the characteristics of your team has more to do with who you have on it. And you can't go and say we're going to be aggressive on the bases. We've got a bunch of buffaloes that hit for power, right? So it all depends on who you have. I think the key thing is to be able to adapt to who you have in your roster, to where you're playing, against the conditions. But to me, the more balanced team, the more well-rounded team you have, the better chance you have of attacking the team's weakness. And to me, as a pitching coach, I was always the best pitcher, not so much the best fastball, best breaking ball. It's the guy that can attack the hitter's weakness. He's always the best guy. So I'm looking to have a well-rounded team. We have options to move the lineup around, lefties and righties, and guys that can run, and I'm the pitcher that's we have to face that day.
Thank you very much, JD.
Thank you.